You guys?
I got some question for you. Bring it. Your beer bottle for a second. Okay, so now both of you have experienced the loss of a child. So is that something that's going to bond the two of you together going into the second season?
Yeah, no, I think so. Especially, we were so excited last year when we got a chance to do a scene together, and it's definitely more. Michael Hurst explores our characters together, and the female bond is definitely stronger, and I think that unites us. The fact that we both have children or have had children, and it's nice to work with. It really is, because it brings such a different dynamic that is in a way. You know, women confide with each other, women definitely relate with each other, and I think that a lot of the fans will be pleased to see that.
And it's an unexpected friendship too. I find we've had some really interesting scenes this year where I'm not a big drag people, but I'm a big fan of hers because we do connect over this loss, like you said, and then she's having this experience as being in sort of her first term as the Earl's wife, and I lived that life, and so we have these sort of really amazing moments where she's having some first experiences that I've had before, and this, instead of feeling a sense of competition, I feel this real empathy for her. And I think that's really a huge credit to Michael, that instead of just pitting these women against each other, in fact they find this common ground.
And this is your first Comic-Con with the show.
Yes.
Are you amazed at how hugely popular it is all of a sudden?
It's crazy.
And what do you
We walked out and just seeing all the fans. Some of
How
them.
well they understand the show. I mean, we just did this, the panel, and the complexity of their appreciation for the material and for each individual character. I feel like they must have watched it 5 times. I mean, I can't believe they got it all on the front.
What is it about it? Why do you think it's so popular?
Well, I think that it's not only, a lot of people don't know much about Vikings, and they're learning a lot about the culture and who they were. There's a lot of Vikings in all of us, but it has a combination of a lot of adventure and action, and it's the most important thing. It's humanized. The relationships and the storyline is relevant even to us today in terms of struggling with our partners, women talking to each other, and confiding, and struggling things with different elements of being a woman. And I think those issues make everybody relate to watching, even though it is set in the 8th century.
Have you changed personally at all after embodying a Viking woman, like putting on the clothes? Do you feel empowered?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? But to give the credit to the crew and some of the amazing, Joan who did the wardrobe, it helps us as actors to embody that. Put on, for example, when my character gets more status, she has more furs, and when she was run down, she was, when she was involved in the battle sequence, her costume was very different, and I think that putting it all together and looking in the mirror, like, oh, hey, you sit there, you're like, you want to do it justice, and it helps a lot in every aspect of the cruise. It's all thought out, from the hair to the makeup.
And Jessalyn, your clothes are very regal.
As Katheryn says, it definitely, when we showed up and we saw the standards of the production, it really felt like game on. It really felt like, okay, we are going for it. And I remember when we were putting my look together, it was based on some artifacts that had been found, and there was this idea of pulling, first of all, dyeing my hair brown, and then pulling it straight back, and then doing this sort of ghost-like makeup, and I know that everyone was really nervous about it, and at the same time, full credit to the makeup department, there was this feeling of we would do it or we go home. There's no halfway with a show like this, because there are so many ways that people are expecting us to fall into the cliches and to beautify it. I mean, Katheryn and I have to give up, seriously, a lot of vanity for this.
A lot of vanity.
We do.
Right. You don't get to wear makeup when you're on the show, really.
But does not make it easier on you?
It makes it easier, but it also, I like it because raw and it's real. And Vikings wouldn't wear much makeup anyway, but it definitely helps us. But you know, when you're getting dressed up for Comic-Con, it's definitely a switch. You gotta let go with it and just go with it.
Yeah. Otherwise, we know we'll lose the audience. I mean, if we do, we just know it, and we don't want to break the authenticity. Yeah, the world that we've created.
So speaking of authenticity, have you guys like gone into Norse mythology or to Norse history and done some research for your roles?
Oh, of course. What's great about how Michael Hurst writes it is you're learning it as you're going, and he's worked with a historian to try to make it as accurate as possible. So just in terms of us being pagans and the mythology and how we believed in all these different gods, and is all very interesting. And the portrayal of women and how women were in that society, and that they were empowered and they did have certain struggles, and all that stuff is just, you know, you're learning. Like my character right now explores different territories, so I'm right now in the middle of researching that and understanding the history of that. I have a Ukrainian background, and when I was doing my research, that, you know, Vikings actually invaded Ukraine, so all that stuff is new for me to find, and it's really fascinating.
And it's actually pretty interesting because I talk to a lot of strong women actresses who are very strong characters. What is it about TV that's kind of bringing that out these days? Because it seems like in the last 4 years, there's been a lot of strong women characters coming to the forefront.
It's a very good question. I think it's such a compliment, and it shows that there's a need for it, and there's an appetite for women to have the complexity and the strength and have a strong voice, and that's really empowering to play. And especially, you know, when I signed up for the show, I was so excited, but I also didn't understand or fully appreciate the role that Agatha might have had, and I'm sure even with Siggy that now seeing what Michael Hurst brings to the table, getting a chance to dig in, you start, it's like peeling an onion. You start finding the strengths and the vulnerabilities, and there's a lot of strength in the vulnerabilities, and I think that makes us more whole and human and real.
Now, since you're in Comic-Con now, dork question, lots of comic book stuff, lots of people walk around in costume. If you had to be a superhero, just one, who would you be?
What would you be?
I know you're Vikings and whatnot, but that's cool too, but
Who would you be?
even if it's just because the costume's cool.
Wow.
No idea.
I mean,
I definitely have to be a cool superhero, like too, like some badass, like Marvel character. I've always been in awe of it. If it's like, you know, Catwoman or you know, one of the Avengers, just someone who kicks ass and just goes to town. Yeah.
As long as
Going
that.
back to your, you know, the question also about women, you know, it hits a raw nerve for me because I just feel like there's this idea that God, these women are so interesting, and I just want to say women have always been interesting. You just never been interesting. But you know, it's just fascinating to me that it's almost like this, that it's 2013 and we're that any woman, that women are interested. It's just shocking.
Do you think it's become dangerously close to becoming a cliche now? Because now it's like every woman has to be like kick-ass, you know, fighting like a guy.
I don't think necessarily exactly what you say. I mean, there are strong men, there are weak men, there are strong women, there are weak women, there are women who are strong in a moment and weak in a moment. So I think it has more to do actually with something that Katheryn said, which is just the idea of multifaceted and conscious characters, that aren't just maybe there as props, or the idea of like fill in, oh, there's a wife, but the idea that every woman, every single woman, just like every single man, has an intellect, and they bring it into every situation that they experience. So even when the women are standing in the great hall and they're listening to what the girl's going to do, you think they don't have an opinion? Of course they have an opinion. Women always have an opinion. Trust me. So it's, in some ways, it's really shakes me that this is a new phenomenon, and yet, I guess better late than never to finally realize that, half the population is actually as complex as that other half.
Jessalyn, gonna do when she finds out?
What's she gonna do?
What's she gonna do?
She is definitely going to kick some serious butt. I just think she has to. We shot that scene a couple weeks ago, and I have to say that I'm black and blue, but you should see his wounds. It's a lot worse than mine. But no, in all seriousness, it's interesting. I know she is very much in love with him, and as a woman, you look at that, and what do you do when the love of your life, the husband, cheats on you? I don't think she's ever dealt with that before, or in a real way, because it's a lot more coming from Megan. I think that it's more the fact that I'm questioning, is he in love with her? Or is it just a flame? And that is a lot more hurtful for him to have feelings for another woman, based not just on a physical level. I think that's the style. And it was interesting to play that and explore that. But it's a fun scene. Hopefully you'll like it.
Oh, we can't wait.
Thank you.
Jessalyn, my question is, do you see the Siggy C Lagertha as kind of like her wild card, because she's starting to feel like Rollo may not be all there for her as far as her next stage for survival?
Great question. You're absolutely right that there's a feeling that maybe putting all my eggs in the Rollo basket might be a mistake. So I will be planting my eggs in other places. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.